Hello and welcome to Talk About Drama, where we talk about what's hot and what's not in the drama world. And it's been a hot minute since I've seen anything remotely American, and quite funnily, so I was doom scrolling as always, and Instagram recommended me this reel of a show, and it was a random episode, and it was these two cops who arrest somebody, and that lady is like, "Oh, do you know I have somebody who's worse than me?" And people kept spilling on each other, and I thought, that's interesting. So because I spent 30 seconds on that reel, Instagram recommended me the follow-up reel of the episode. So I took the time to go through the comments, and I found out it's the season 4 episode 7, I believe, of The Rookie. And I thought, well, there's quite a lot of episodes to watch. Please do ignore the beep sound in my background. The birds don't get along with me that well, so it does happen inconsistently. Anyways, back to the topic. So I really liked the way Officer Chen and Officer Bradford interacted with each other in like 30 seconds. So I did some thinking, and apparently it's Nathan Fillion. Castle became a rookie in LAPD. And it is apparently based on the life of a real guy who did start his rookie career as a middle-aged guy. So, but I think John Nolan, he started out quite well, and I was really rooting for him. But over the course of the episodes, the way he became like this all good, super powering person who could do no wrong, it started to get to me a little. But also, the main reason why I stuck around and finished all 7 seasons in 1 month, it was because of Officer Lucy Chen and Sergeant Tim Bradford. And I really, technically it's Lucy I stuck around for, really, because I really like the way they progress these two characters. And yeah, I like the overall arc as well, because like I said, it's been a hot minute since I've seen American shows, and cop shows, it's a really touchy subject, because if they're not done well, they can just end up being like melodrama. Like, you need a fine line between drama and melodrama. And cop shows, even though they mostly they follow the same formula, like they're always serial killers, there's always like bad lawyers, there's always like recurring characters, and I respect the way they've not been long drawn out until now. Like, I think it is time, though, they need to phase out Oscar and Monica, because it's high time, especially Monica, because she's not really contributing anything. But yeah, apart from that, I actually really like the way they progressed over 7 seasons. But so I'm mostly going to talk about Lucy and Tim separately and together, because I liked the way they started initially, because she was his rookie. So Lucy is the one who joined the police station, and Tim was her training officer. And I cannot tell you the amount of appreciation I have for no heart eyes for the first 3 seasons. Like, I was scared. Genuinely, I was scared, because if you remember, I started by following a clip from season 4, and Lucy was definitely giving Tim looks in those clips. So I thought, well, he's a training officer. I really don't want that, because, you know, she's got her career ahead of her. Do you really think she needs to screw it up by going after her training officer? And she didn't. She did. Ironically, though, she did almost screw up her career, because she was dating John Nolan in the beginning, and it would have most definitely given her a bad rep. But they broke up, and it stayed a secret mostly. And Lucy went on to become a sergeant in season 7. She's a sergeant. But I really liked the way they progressed, especially Lucy, because, okay, hear me out. I started season 1, and I really, truly, genuinely sometimes wanted to get into the screen and just strangle Tim so badly, because what the hell was he doing with her? Like, really, what the hell was that? And a lot of times it was really like too extreme for me to witness, and the only thing that went in my mind was, how is this girl even surviving this? How is she so mentally sound that she's able to take all of this? Because had it been me, I swear to God, had it been me, I would have thrown in the towel. I would have reported this guy. I would have made it my life's mission to ruin this guy, because he's genuinely trying to ruin my life. That would have been the first thought that went into my head. But Lucy, she overcame all of that. And actually, you know, truly actually, I appreciate the writers for this, because once Tim was no longer her training officer, once Lucy became a cop, like a proper cop, the training that he put her through, the hell that he put her through, actually made sense. And they actually talk about it at one point, where Tim, he's training somebody else, and Lucy, she's already, I think she's P2, and basically Tim's training a rookie who used to be ex-military, and she straight away joined the LAPD like after assignment ended, and he's really nice with her. Like, he's buying her her coffee, he's writing her reports, he's helping her out every step of the way. Whereas with Lucy, he literally just like dropped her off in the deep end and told her swim. So Lucy is really ticked off because he's like, well, he's trying to play with her head. And when she finally figured out that it's actually not, he's not trying to play with her head, he's just being really nice to her, she went and confronted him. And Tim made it very clear that it was because of the way that the rookie was. He had to adapt his training methods because it's not one shoe fits all. You train your rookie according to the way your rookie is. You take into consideration their background, because Lucy, she saw the good in the world. She was nice and she expected people to be nice. But for Tim, that was a bad thing, because what if she let her guard down around the wrong people? It would not only put her life in danger, but also the life of the people who were around her, like a training officer. Or if she's riding alone, that could potentially put her 6 feet under. So he had to train her to be cautious, to be on her guard 24/7, to not trust people. And the only way he could think of doing that was literally putting her off in the deep end and telling her to swim towards him. But with this rookie, because she was already used to the deep end, he had to slowly give her a lifeboat and slowly teach her how to swim towards the shore. And I really like the interaction, because at no point were they belittling anybody because she's beautiful and she's smart. And Tim was like, no, it's because of the way that she's been hardwired. I have to undo all of that and then teach her how to be a civilian but a cop. So to ensure that she's not on her guard 24/7, because that could lead to excessive policing at one point and even make her fall off the deep end. But someday he hopes that Rookie could be as good as Lucy. And Lucy was literally, she was preening like a peacock. And I really liked the interaction because it made all of that hell so worth it, because you see at no point Lucy's on her own. Because I really did go back and watch a couple of episodes from season 1 and 2, and it made sense, because even when Lucy was initially asked to like search the sky, Tim was keeping an eye on her. He was actively coaching her, and he was on guard. If that guy really attacked her, Tim would have stepped in. And when Lucy got accidentally injected with a used syringe, he calmed her down. He didn't panic mode her, he didn't railroad her, he didn't take over. He asked her, like, what do you do in these circumstances? How do you proceed with it? Because he knows how to calm her down. Procedures, understanding what's going to happen, and slowly trying to calm her down, because if she went into overdrive and panic, it would have been bad. And slowly but steadily, Lucy actually became a better cop. And even though like Tim was a great training officer, you see at one point when Nyla Harper steps in after Lucy has been abducted, and she goes back on the job, and Harper's like, let me take over for one day. She and Lucy confront this guy, and he's really big, and Lucy's like, well, he's too big for me to handle, like, how do you expect me to go after him? And Harper's like, well, I took him down, I fought him off, because the guy is not going to look at you and think that, oh, that's a little girl, let me go easy on her. No, he thinks you're a cop who's coming to go after him. He might underestimate her in the beginning and have the upper hand, but eventually that guy is going to come after her full force, because nobody wants to go into jail. And taking down a teeny tiny cop is much easier than like a tank of a cop. And obviously they're going to go after her first because she's the easiest target in the group. And that made Lucy realize that I actually need to train myself. And I really appreciated that, because throughout the series, everybody, Nyla Harper, Tim Bradford, they all equipped Lucy with enough knowledge to handle herself out there. Tim, in his own mean ways, made sure that she was on guard, that she was able to handle herself, even when the person in front of her was being mean to her. Because you remember in that episode where the guy's dog had a complaint because the dog was too noisy, and Lucy stepped in. It was during the plain clothes day episode, and Lucy sort of threatened him. He was being too cheeky with her, and he obviously turned around and filed a complaint against her. And that made me realize that Lucy, in everyday life as a cop, she has to take so much shit from everybody around her. Because as much as I love Brandon Ruth, Officer Doug Stanton was on my hit list from the moment he appeared. So basically, this guy, when Tim and Lucy went head to head with him, he's like, oh yeah, who let a hot boot is going to like go over me? And Lucy like puts him into place. But that also made me realize that she's a woman police officer who's also a person of color. Everywhere in the station, like everywhere in the force even, there's going to be pushback against her, and people are going to underestimate her. They're going to pass comments on her, and not just the people in blue, it's going to be civilians as well. And she has to take everything, and that made Tim's verbal abuse a little bit more easier to digest, because at no point outside of the station was Tim disrespectful towards Lucy. He treated her with respect. Yeah, he put her into dangerous situations. He gave her dress down in front of literally everybody. But I do agree with Tim's point that even the smallest of mistakes could have led Lucy to being 7 foot under. And at no point outside of the station, like once the uniforms were off, Tim was always respectful towards her. He was even like, at some point in season 2, Tim started to understand and listen to Lucy's advice. But one of the times when I really wanted to strangle Tim Bradford was in season 2, episode 1, when Lucy finally took off the long sleeves t-shirt and like wore off her half sleeves, and Tim literally gave her dress down for no good reason. And at the end, like, Lucy figured out that something was wrong, and she confronted Tim head first, and he told her, you know what, you lost all respect for me when you didn't report about what happened during the quarantine house. And that was the moment I fell in love with Lucy Chen, because this woman does not take shit from anybody. She straight up told to Tim that, you know what, I had your back during the whole Isabel thing, but you can't have my back during this one thing. Like, you really think I lose respect because of this? Well, F you. I don't really care anymore. And that was actually such a cathartic moment for me, but also such a good way for the dynamics, because season 1 Tim wouldn't have stood for that. Like, season 1 Tim would definitely have given Lucy a dress down, because they were still dressed up in uniforms. She was still talking to supervisor that way, and season 1 Tim would have never stood for that. But the fact that she was able to do that and get away with it already proved that there was a shift in the dynamic in season 1, especially after the whole Quarantine Hours episode, where Tim, he lost all hope, but his first instinct after being spat on with so much blood was shut the door and make sure Lucy was out, because he would have stepped in there, and you better be sure Lucy would not have left him alone. And Tim knew that, and his first instinct was to protect her, even though I still don't know why he went so near to a person who he believed might have been infected. It was almost like, please spit on me, but it was for another time. And but yeah, there was already a shift in dynamics, and I really liked, you know, the first episode itself, Lucy is saving Tim's ass, and it's such a good description of their whole relationship, because in a way Lucy did save Tim from himself, because after we have a look inside of his relationship with his wife, it's clear that Tim was literally losing it, and Lucy pulled him back from the edge, because his rookies were washing out. Because I think they do talk about it, that Tim does have a lot of rookies that wash out, and 2 is fine, 3 is fine as well, but if you have like 4 or 5 consecutive people wash out, there's bound to be some scrutiny on you. And why is it happening to us? If the city does invest $500,000 towards training a rookie, and then washing out means all of that money's gone to waste. So they need a good explanation as to why that's happening. And I think we can all agree that Tim was really on a destructive path, especially with the whole Isabel thing over his head, because at one point he literally went out there and picked a fight, even though he had a gunshot wound, because he wanted to feel the pain, and he wanted to punish himself in some way, because he sort of in a way enabled Isabel and didn't really report her, and, you know, allowed her to go to the point of no return, and he's now helpless to stop her. Then we do find out in the later episodes that, you know, something happened during his tour, and I think in Mosul, and there was this whole thing, but, you know, basically it's guilt. Yes, Tim is this goody two-shoes nice guy who's this moral code of conduct, and I think Lucy figured that out pretty well, but she was looking out for him. She was actively trying to make sure that, you know, Tim doesn't stray off his path, and a lot of times Lucy followed through and she stuck by him, and when she found out that, you know, he literally lost all respect for her just because of that one thing, but she didn't report to the higher up. It was a spur of the moment thing, because he didn't want to go out the way that the guy literally died in front of him horrifically. So that really pissed me off, because I really wanted a follow-up to that at the next episode. It was all fun and games, and I was like, no, I need an episode. I need a moment where Lucy is just like, she's completely closed off, and Tim is feeling bad about it, and he initiates a conversation, because why would you even throw a line like that in there and not follow up? Why is it every single time Lucy has to step up and basically try and mend the gap, try and make sure that, you know, Tim doesn't fall off the deep end? Because it really, really pissed me off. And it wasn't just that one thing, but like in the later episode, this happened so much that I think that personally, the writers must have something against Lucy, because the first person that she dates turns out to be a serial killer. The second person that she dates, that Chris guy, he's not very good. Like, please, I'm not even counting the firefighter guy, because was that really even a date? And then there's this Chris guy who I like the way he was introduced, with Lucy and him practically beefing, and then, you know, getting together, but really. So Lucy was reviewing tapes from when she was abducted and stuffed into a barrel and pushed underground, and she was trying to motivate herself to not giving into the panic. She sings the song, and it's recorded because OG serial killer, she requested a feed, and they're trying to convict her, and they want Lucy to review the whole thing so she can basically take a stand against this woman, so they can basically add to her charges and make sure that she does not get out even on a single irregularity. And this guy who was dating Lucy at the time, he starts humming the song in the freaking break room because this serial killer lady, she slashed this guy's wrists and almost killed him, but he was more interested in singing the song that his girlfriend was singing while she was buried alive in a barrel, not knowing if she'll make it out of here alive. That episode totally pissed me off because A, what the hell, and B, why wasn't Tim there? Because are you telling me Tim Bradford left Lucy alone? Like, he was keeping tabs on her the entire day when Nyla Harper and Lopez took over, and at one point there were shots fired and Lopez tells Tim, and he's like, what the hell are you doing with her? And it was so nice because at the end of the day he went to Lucy and he's like, oh, ride with me tomorrow, and he asked her, he literally asked her that at the end of the day because he wanted his partner back. He was literally sick to his stomach worrying about her because he didn't have it under control because she was riding with somebody else, and if anything happened it would have been on his conscience. He was full on mama bear mode, and you're telling me that Tim Bradford would have left his former rookie, but like would have left this person alone on the day when she was supposed to be reviewing tapes of when she was stuffed in a barrel, left to die in the middle of nowhere. Make it make sense. Like, it does not make sense. Like, fine, Lucy did have some moral support in Tamara, but still, are you telling me Tim would have swapped out his shift and be there for Lucy and just like made sure he's literally just standing there, and he would have made it a point to be there because that is a person that he feels responsible for at that point. And not to mention the second time Lucy is running around the city trying to find this guy who's strapping bombs around people's necks and blowing them up, and this guy video calls her in the middle of it, and he's like, are you okay? Yeah, okay. To the point, I sent you some house listings, because in the morning he literally sprang up on Lucy like, you know, we should move in together, and immediately while she's in an extremely high stakes situation he goes on about house listings, and he's literally pressuring her into making a choice. I might have some Lucy pink glasses on, but that was soft pressure. Seriously, you can't make this up. I don't know why they always give the bad people to Lucy. Like, why can she never have a good stable relationship? Like, from the beginning to the end, Tim had, well, I don't count Isabel as a nice stable relationship because that really screwed up with his head, but then he had Rachel, he had Ashley. Tim was in relationships with people who weren't screwed up in their heads, while Lucy got a serial killer, well, her colleague, a serial killer, and then this guy who's borderline insensitive. Like, why can she never have good things? And then she and Tim got together, and then he dumped her after lying to her about what he was doing the entire day. I was like, oh, it sucks to be Lucy Chen because why, like, people ask me like, why are you on Lucy's side? Well, have you looked at her? She's still standing. She's still standing there. And she hasn't had a breakdown after everything that's happened to her because this girl, she did everything in her power to get Tim off the desk job because she knows he hates it. And then, you know, after everything backfired on her, when she literally had no communication with the boyfriend who was stonewalling her, even though she repeatedly said, I want to talk about it, and he's like, no, he just left her out of the blue because he was feeling bad about himself. Is this the same Tim Bradford that I saw over the last 5-6 seasons? And the whole dim and juicy thing, I was like, oh, I know I'm ranting. Like, the whole doppelganger thing was good for like 5 minutes, and then it just like, what? And why? It was so forced. Like, they literally had like Tim and Lucy stand in front of each other. It's like, now kiss, you know, because it wasn't organic, because the way they've gotten together up until season 4 was hard on trust. Tim let Lucy in, and it got to a point where Tim's sister was riding with them. Like, Lucy suggested bringing her on a ride along, and Tim let it happen. And the moment when she made a guess about the Tim tests, like, did you see the expression on Tim's face? Like, at that moment, that expression, he was so haunted because he was like, I'm sorry, what? You think what my dad did to me? Like, his father was abusive. He dropped him off in the middle of nowhere with a compass and was like, find your way back home. And Lucy was like, oh yeah, that sounds like a Tim test. And Tim was horrified, and he didn't say anything then and there because they got a call, I think, but literally it struck to him like, you know, I've done horrible things to this person, but I wasn't doing it because I was being mean to her. And an episode later, like, we skip an episode and then we have a callback back to it when Tim and Lucy go on the off day to Tim's childhood home. Like, can you even imagine that? They're not even together at this point. They're just colleagues. And they've gotten so close that Tim is okay bringing Lucy into his childhood home. And they're basically tearing it down for renovation so they can basically flip it and sell it for a good price. And they find a gun in the walls. And there's this whole thing where his dad's mistress killed her abusive husband and tried to pass it off as a home invasion. And the whole Tim's childhood scars get blown wide open because his dad didn't protect them, specifically Tim, but he was very much protective of his mistress. And there was a lot of bad blood. But, you know, he's slowly dying. And whenever Tim went to visit him, like, he went to visit him twice, like, after so many years. And that guy's basically like, oh, well, I did it for you. I made you who you are. And Tim was like, no, I am the person I am in spite of you. I made myself and you had nothing to do with that. And he brings Lucy along the last time he visits his dad. And she's literally standing outside of the door. And Tim's main concern was the Tim tests. They don't make me like him. Like, I'm not that person. And I didn't expect that callback from like 2 episodes ago. And that was so on brand for them because Tim was horrified that, you know, Lucy even considered the Tim test. That was supposed to be a learning moment as something that his father did to him in his childhood. And then he started doubting himself because what if I was mean to her for the sake of being mean to her? What if it wasn't a teachable moment? It was more of me emulating my dad. What if I do have my dad in me? And Lucy has to step forward and like, I know, you're nothing like him. And I'm sorry, I love Eric and Melissa in this scene because Tim literally takes a step back. He literally staggers like a short step back and Lucy moves forward and she literally embraces him because she knows that look on his face. He's completely shattered. He's so torn apart just thinking about, you can see it on his face, like he doesn't even want to get close to him, and she embraces him and he literally folds into her embrace, and at this point there's nothing between them. They're colleagues and they respect each other, and Tim is so open to Lucy at this point where they earned it. Like throughout the seasons they've earned it. Like they went on double dates, but Tim and Lucy basically spent the entire time chatting up a storm, and the dates were like literally sitting opposite of them, and there's no stupid jealousy in between them and other people because they're all adults, and Lucy always supported him in his relationships. Like she literally set him up with her good friend, and the second time when Ashley and Tim had issues with the dog Kodo, Lucy helped smooth it over. Like there was no jealous glances, there was no unconscious sabotage. Respected each other, and their partners saw that too. Like when Tim and Ashley were discussing about going to Hawaii, and Tim was like, oh, Lucy was being annoying all day, and Ashley was like, I found them quite hard to believe. And that's the level of respect that we were talking about over here. So they earned it. This is my pet peeve because I'm really, really annoyed with this. So they had this whole undercover thing where they go as their doppelgangers and they obviously get caught, but you know they've kissed, and Tim obviously suddenly has an epiphany where he's like, oh, it's not a platonic relationship, it's not just partners, there's something in there. I don't know how they didn't manage to sneak that in before, because when Jackson died, Tim and Lucy literally had that hug, which was cut short. I'm 110% sure there was more to that hug than what was shown on TV, and they're literally like weird with each other for like a second, and then obviously they go and sleep, and then they're called back into the station. And then they dance with each other in like 2 weddings. And at no point there's even a whisper of Tim being like, I'm sorry, but what is this happening? And the moment they kiss, Tim literally folds. And they're still dating other people. And then, you know, Tim has this moment where there's a shrapnel stuck in his back and it makes its way to his spine. And he has severe back pain. And it's so much so that he requires surgery. And he's in the hospital. And, you know, his girlfriend comes to visit. And then there's this classic glancing over after the person has walked away. Because he has feelings for Lucy. And he's slowly starting to realise that, you know, there's something going on between the both. And when Tim collapses and needs to be taken to emergency surgery because he literally cannot feel anything below his neck, don't tell Chen. That's literally his first thought while he's being wheeled into surgery, because he might just lose his bodily controls and he doesn't want her to be worried. Okay. He gets out of surgery and his girlfriend breaks up with him while he's still in bed. I'm sorry, what? Like, I know you need to fast track it so that Lucy and Tim can get together, but really, did they really need to do Ashley dirty like that? Like, I understand why she broke up with Tim, because she didn't want to go through with the same thing that she went through with her dad, where the person's so dedicated to their job job that they basically lose out the joys of life. And she wanted that stability. And she was talking to Tim about retirement and everything. And when she realized that, Tim is quite happily married to his job, she gave up. But really, that guy just woke up from an emergency back surgery that could have left him potentially paralyzed. And, immediately after Lucy visits and she's sitting with him, she obviously doesn't know Tim and Ashley broke up. But the next episode, Lucy's on a mission to cheer him up because, he's got something that's eating him on the inside. And Lucy can obviously see that because they've known each other so well at this point. Even though it's a glances, they know something's wrong or something's good. And Tim loses his radio. Well, he forgets his radio and Lucy finds it. And the entire day, she leads him on a wild goose chase. And, when she finally figures out that, she's not going to get him out of it, she tries the ultimate method, which is put your weapons down so that Tim lets his guard down and she can basically strike back. And she's done that before. Like, she literally talked him into telling her the location of where he keeps his money, and then she stole it from him. And then she's like, you might want to glove up before washing the dishes, because he made a glove up and searched through this guy's disgusting collection. So... And Tim obviously folded because the moment she turned around, Tim's like, oh yeah, Ashley and I broke up. And that's the level of how much they know each other. And basically after that, Tim aggressively went after Lucy and basically made her confess. Then you do have feelings for him, because the entire day when they were chasing after bombs, Tim was the first one to initiate conversation. Tim saw that Lucy was conflicted about moving in with Chris, and the moment he smelled blood, he went after it. You can't tell me otherwise, because why was he initiating the conversation the entire day? Like, Tim, I don't talk about my feelings, Bradford, was talking about Lucy's feelings with Lucy actively in the car. Like, the only other time I've ever seen him do that was when the whole thing with Emmett was going down and she agreed to a date with another fireman. And that was also because Lucy was like smiling and like being happy all day, and that's when Tim called her out on it. So him aggressively going after Lucy and like making her realize that you actually don't love Chris. And then Lucy obviously approached him and it's a carrot and stick approach, because he left her alone to figure out her thoughts, and she went back to him and okay, fine. It was so precious with the way that, do you want to go out sometime? And when Lucy said yes, and Tim was like, yes, so good. And then you realise that, well, Lucy's still in a relationship, and she's like, no, ask me later after I've broken up. And it just left a bad taste in my mouth, because as much as I don't like Chris, that guy did not deserve it. So they quickly took care of Chris, and Lucy and Tim got together, and then they had the whole rank problem. So okay, again, nitpicking, but I didn't like the way they had the whole undercover thing literally forced upon them, because they weren't that good at acting either. Because half the time I was like, how are the guys not suspecting them with the way these two are acting? Because really, at least make undercover a little bit more believable. I mean, I like the fluff, the sugar, but that was not a believable undercover episode. Also, since we're talking about undercover, okay, as much as I love the documentary episodes, like I actually do like them because they're so different from the usual episodic styles. How is it that Lucy's appearing in these documentaries that are going to be broadcasted everywhere? And there's this documentary about this guy who was accused of murder in France, who's a son of a really big musician, and his parents are rich, and then he goes back to LA and joins the LAPD, and he's basically exonerated of it. So there's this documentary about this guy, and Lucy's appearing on it, even though she really is into undercover work. Like, do they not realize that Willens watch TV too? And so far she's appeared in like 3 documentary episodes which have been broadcasted, I'm assuming, all over LA, and it's very prominently displaying her name as Lucy Chen, LAPD cop. And I'm like, just why are we doing this when this girl wants to be an undercover officer? Also, Nyla Harper, I think she's in 2 documentary episodes, which is bad enough, because this woman has been undercover like for 4 years. She's been doing these extremely high risk drug operations across the border, and she obviously has so many enemies, and she's appearing in these nationally or internationally broadcasted documentary episodes. How does that make sense? In one of the episodes, Lucy even accidentally shares her social media clip where she's dancing on TikTok, I believe. And again, how? Like, these people are supposed to be undercover. Like, technically their identity should have been released off of the internet, but they're sitting down voluntarily for interviews in a police building in an official capacity, when Lucy herself went to undercover school for like a month. I mean, suspensions of disbelief, yes, but that was a stretch, because that whole undercover thing, like, I'm rooting for Lucy because she does have interest and she likes to do them, and I respect that, but make it make sense a little. I mean, like, yeah, I'm knitting again. again, but yeah, a little bit. And also, since we're on the whole undercover thing again, and literally first hint of trouble, Tim runs away. He went radio silent on Lucy, and then he runs away, breaks up with her. Tim breaks up with Lucy. Like he literally held on to Isabel until the last moment because he was feeling guilty. And Isabel broke up with Tim. Rachel let Tim go. Ashley broke up with Tim, but Tim broke up with Lucy. I'm genuinely, truly, like, I understand where that was coming from, because throughout the entire, I think, season 6 and 7, Tim and Lucy, they're trying to get over the differences because Tim is clearly very sensitive about Lucy going undercover, and he's not ready to address it. And no matter how much Lucy tries to talk to him, he's completely stonewalling her, because now it's a personal thing. Before it was a professional thing, and they were friends, and Tim was quite happily chatting with Lucy over a lot of issues. But now he's literally stonewalling her. And so many times Lucy tried to initiate a conversation with him. Like, she head on confronted him that, you know, the problem with me going undercover is not me, it's you. And Tim was like, no, I'm fine, I'll overcome it. And, you know, when she brought Tim along for practice on the detective's exam, I mean, I know Tim was offended when Lucy called him out on actively sabotaging her, but to me, it really did look like that, because, you know, that is the one case that led to Lucy's downfall in the interview. And Tim knew how much even one thing would cost her, because this one person on the jury had it out for her. So instead of helping her, he was giving her this look when he knows that she spirals the best when he gives her that look. And I think Lucy was too much in a comfort zone too, because she was like, oh no, I'm not going to let him get the best of me. And she did that. And I think at that point, it was, in a way, he was subconsciously ensuring that Lucy does not make detective. And that is sort of what happened. But then Tim wasn't ready to touch upon it, and then they didn't talk about it, even though Tim literally sat down, had a lie detector test where he failed when Lucy asked him, are you okay about the undercover work? And they never addressed it. And they broke up. Obviously they broke up. Of course they will break up, because Lucy is going into these high stakes situations and Tim is like, he's not okay with it. And then the moment Tim is confronted with his mortality, he's like, no. And he cops out. And I'm very frustrated with this. Like, you can see how frustrated I am, because that breakup, it should have been Lucy walking away, which I know she wouldn't have done that. But then again, Tim walking away, Tim not giving Lucy a chance to speak, Tim saying his own words, everything that he wants to say. He's been given a chance to voice his thoughts, when every time Lucy tries to talk to him, he stonewalls her. Like, literally after the breakup, Lucy approaches him once again, and he's just like, well, how about a real adult conversation, Tim? And Tim's like, well, I don't think I have everything that you're looking for. And Lucy's like, well, yeah, tough luck. And she walks away, and I was like, yes, girl, walk away. And then they have this whole weird hookup thing. Like, yes, the whole Valentine's ex thing, like, fine, I understand that the feelings got better of them, but I don't understand. What was the point of breakup if you're just gonna have them stick together anyways? Might as well have them together, have them face the issues together, rather than having them broken up and then putting them in these weird situations. Like, it just didn't feel deserved. And then every single time Lucy tried, like, even in the elevator when Lucy literally saved Tim's life, and Tim was like, I will try to pay you back the kindness that you've shown him, and Lucy literally didn't want to talk to him, and Tim was like, no, I really need to say that. And I was like, why do you get to say everything that you want to say? When she tries to talk, you literally stonewall her and not let her get a word in. It really pissed me off. And then in the last episode, Tim's like, well, if you want to go forward with this, I think you should move in. I was like, I'm sorry, what? Move in? How did it even go there? Like, Tim really likes to skip a couple of steps. Like I said, he went after Lucy's life once he found out that, you know, she and Chris were thinking moving together, because, you know, he was like, no, I like her and I think she likes me, so let's go after it. And now when he's completely in touch with his feelings, he's like, well, let's get back together. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And I'm going to be so pissed off if season 8 happens and Lucy does not get to say her piece, because what the... Let that girl talk. Let her get her feelings out, because it's going to crush her from the inside. And it's not a very good feeling. Like, it's not... Yeah, I'm okay with them getting back together, but it's quite frustrating, because a lot of times women, they don't get to speak up for themselves, because, you know, they get stonewalled, and then, you know, things happen. And yeah, Tim's got a really sad, unfortunate chain of events where he basically gets told off on the job, and then he breaks up with his girlfriend, and then his ex team leader jumps off the building in front of him. Like, yes, I get it, but let Lucy have her say. Let Lucy be cold to Tim for once. Like, why are you putting all of in Tim's favour? Even when they woke up together on the Valentine's Day, Tim was like, oh, do you want a coffee? And then talk about it. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Talk about what? Why are we doing this again? It genuinely, it's something, it's my pet peeve. Like, a lot of times women don't get to speak up for themselves, and it's just taken for granted, especially if they're third or the second couple, because this girl does not deserve it. She's worked her way in this relationship. She's literally played risky moves on her own career so that her partner can have a good position. And I'm not saying Tim's not made sacrifices. He has. He took up a sergeant's position, a court liaison sergeant position, a desk job, which he absolutely hated, just so he could be with Lucy. Like, I'm getting it. And he chose that position just so he can be with Lucy together in the same station. Like, I guess it, he'd made some sacrifices. But really, everything after that whole freaky thing, especially the whole wildfire thing, especially, that also pissed me off, because Tim's like, oh no, you don't know, I'm going to tell you something hateful. Oh, the arrogance. I was like, I'm sorry, what? I mean, I'm not making speculations, but I think somebody clearly has it out for Lucy, because why do you not let her talk? They better let her talk in season 8, because I am really looking forward to it. But also, I'm really looking forward to the way they shape these characters, because Lucy's now a sergeant, and she clearly has her work cut out on the night shift, and I really want her to work towards it. Is I don't want Tim stepping in. I don't want anyone stepping in. I want Lucy to whip these people into shape, because whatever misstep happens, it's her neck that's on the line. She's basically newly minted sergeant, and like Gray said to Tim Bradford at one point, those stripes are Velcro. They can come off as easily as they got on. So everyone trusts her, but she also needs to trust herself. And season finale was like when Lucy basically got them up and running to basically save Miles. I really like the way she knows that she has potential to be a leader, and she is good at taking charge. And I would really like to see her personal growth and her professional growth. I do want her to be secure in the way that she doesn't have to deal with the second guessing again, because she's already done that once. What's the whole point? And I do want to see this relationship go in a positive manner, because so far it's been quite half-assed, especially after season 5. And yeah, I'm extremely sorry for the long episode, but it's like 7 seasons. But yeah, I really like the way they shaped up Lucy Chen. Although I didn't understand what her beef was with Seth, because yes, he was lying about his personal history, but it didn't really matter in his police work. Although him lying about having cancer was a bad thing, because why would you do that? Like, that's so messed up. And I think that is one of a valid point where Lucy had on benching him, but she was ready to bench him before that as well. And I genuinely didn't understand why she was ready to do that, because yes, technically he did leave them when the whole forest wildfire happened, but Gray put a rookie in charge of handling on the phone calls and basically coordinating the disaster management effort. Like, you might want to have somebody who's more experienced. Like, hell, I'd even give it to Smitty, who at least knows his shit. Like, have like 2 people over there than just like 1. And I mean, I don't know, it was a weird arc. But yeah, I think one of the things that I really liked about the rookie, and one of the things I hope they do keep in the upcoming episodes, is the way they film the episodes, where it's not just like steady cams. It's not like cameras. They have, once the body cams are on, they have footage from the body cams, they have footage from the CCTVs, they have footage from the shop cams. And I really like the way they piece together the episode. It makes the stakes so much higher, because the way you're filming it, it's like the footage switches, especially in that episode when they had the white supremacist group was going after and probably planning an attack, and at some point the footage even shifted to like drone footage, and you had different cameras, but none of them was like a proper camera, and it just raised the stakes so much, and I really like that. And I also like the documentary episodes, even though I wasn't really 100% behind the whole paranormal activity episode, but I like the other 2 episodes, so I do kind of hope they keep it up in season 8, even though they're not really that high rated on IMDb, so I'm not too sure. I hope they don't steamroll Lucy, and I really hope they don't have other people steal her thunder, and I really hope they don't have this whole unconscious rivalry between Bailey and Lucy, because what the hell was even that? Like, why would he even insert a line like that? Like, Lucy jumped trapped in between two moving vehicles when the other vehicle was not in anyone's control. There was no guarantee the other vehicle would be in the place that there is when she was jumping, whereas Bailey crossed between two vehicles when both of them were holding steady so that she could walk across. And yes, there was a bomb on board, but that does not make Lucy's situation less serious, because at the moment they're both doing their jobs and they're both in a way doing what they've trained to do. And Lucy undermining herself like that, I was like, I'm sorry, what? Why was that line even there? And why did it even need to be there? Like, why are you erasing one person by putting down the other? Like, why? What was the point? Because I really like the way the rookie at this point, they were not undermining anybody, but that line really, really pissed me off, because why would you do that? What's the point of comparing them? Even that throwaway line, what was the whole point? Like, you could have simply praised Bailey without putting Lucy down and just be like, oh, like, Bailey was amazing. And then Tim was like, yeah, you were amazing as well. And they would have moved on. Like, what was the whole point? Absolutely hated it, because they're both amazing in their own ways. Melissa O'Neill, the actor, she got her stunt certificate in between seasons, so everyone's saying that there's bound to be like more risky stunts in season 8, and I'm really looking forward to that, because I was bowled over with that scene where Lucy rescues Tim, because watching a choreographed play, and I hope that, you know, we have these chases in season 8 as well, and I hope they keep up the energy but don't steamroll anybody. And I definitely hope Lucy gets a chance to speak her bit, because she deserves it. She really does deserve it, and I hope we get enough screen time for the both of them, because so far it's been quite erratic in the way the screen time has been dipping for literally everybody. And I get you have your main characters, but you also have these characters that you've built up over so many seasons. Like, where are Lucy's parents? Where's Lucy's mum? They're like, they were so vehemently against her whole career, and now they just vanished into thin air. And also, over so many seasons, we've seen like Lucy and Tim talk about their grandkids and their kids, and basically they've gone up to naming the kids. And I don't know, but there's one thing for sure, like they're quite comfortable with each other, because Lucy mentioning to Tim that, you know, the date thing, like, you know, what would be a good story for the grandkids, and Tim didn't even flinch, even though he was having a mini freak out when Lucy suggested him that, you know, going to Hawaii means he was technically going there to propose to Ashley. And the whole day Tim was like, no, I'm not proposing to this girl, I don't want to get married. And then, you know, when the Make-A-Wish kid came and they had the whole losing of a kids thing, and I was like, I'm sorry, you're so nonchalantly talking about losing kids in the middle of the station. And it just, like, subconsciously I was thinking, like, is this really the norm for them? Like, nobody really bats an eye when they hold hands for too long, when they talk about kids in the middle of the floor. Like, nobody really cares anymore, because it's them. And it's so nice to see, because they're so desensitized towards the whole marriage and kids thing. Like, I don't know, they might just end up giving them the whole surprise pregnancy thing, which I think it's not a good thing, because Lucy's going to be night shift sergeant. So I really hope that, you know, we actually see her doing some kick-ass stuff before the whole pregnancy thing takes over, because we do know that, you know, they discuss baby names and they're not even together anymore. So, but yeah, looking forward to season 8. And that brings me to the end of this episode, and I really hope you enjoyed listening to me talk about, mini rant about Lucy Chen, Tim Bradford, Chenford, the rookie, all 7 seasons. I hope you're looking forward to season 8 as much as I am. But yeah, I definitely have a thing for second couple, because Yabani, Arsi and Alaz were like my go-to couple. And then, you know, Chenford in The Rookie, and yeah, also Moonlight Mystique, Chongzhao Fuling with an unhinged second lead couple. Yeah, clearly I have a type. But I think because since I've been propelled to start my podcast because of Yabani, I might talk about Arsi and Alaz at some point, because Alaz is still something that I really hold close to my heart. And just like Chenford, I really enjoyed the way they started out in first season and crashed and burned in the second season, sort of. So you never know. I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for sticking around. I know I haven't been really active past month, but yeah, if you really like listening to me ramble about stuff, you can catch my podcast, Talk About Drama, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, and YouTube. You can also reach out to me on my social handles on Twitter and Instagram. It's talk_about_drama, and just really get together and rave about Chenford, because why not? We've got like 7 seasons worth of stuff. Thank you so much for sticking around, and I will see you guys next time. Until then, I hope you have a good week. Ciao.